We made so many mistakes with our first rental.
It was an absolute disaster.
We had probably our worst tenant we've ever had.
I mean, we salvaged this stuff, but we could have avoided so much
Barely.
struggle.
I mean, we had things breaking left and right. We didn't know where anything was. It was crazy.
People weren't paying. We didn't know what to do about it. We didn't know our own rights to our own property. Horrible situation, and that's why education would have been incredibly valuable back then. In fact, I will tell you, one of the larger landlords and property managers, very well-respected guy, had over 1,000 units at the time, agreed to meet with me and give me some advice. You know what piece of advice he gave me, Matt?
Yes, I do.
What is it he told me to do?
Get good property management software.
And you know what we immediately did? We promptly ignored him.
Yep.
We just chose to not do it. Why? Because that stuff's expensive, and I get it. You have to spend money on that stuff, and we said, hey, we can't afford to do it.
Penny wise, pound foolish.
Yeah, and you know what? We couldn't afford not to have it. So that set us back massively. It added to a lot of mistakes and misunderstandings, and could have been easily avoided if we had just followed experienced advice.
Two guys take on real estate.
So the number one thing we say to anyone getting into this, get good property management software. That's the first thing that I would say that we should have done if we started all over, and that would have made all the difference.
Yeah, I just don't know what, I can't stress it enough. And you know what? There's all sorts of different types of management software.
Oh, yeah.
There's stuff out there for newbie landlords, people that are house hacking, have just a few units, people that have maybe a couple of dozen units. And then there's management software for the big dogs that have hundreds or thousands of units.
And you can scale into it. You once again, start with a smaller software.
Absolutely.
And then grow into something else. But these softwares are designed for you, for your property management out there, trying to couple something together like we did with spreadsheets
I
and
hate
QuickBooks.
the word spreadsheet.
Oh
I
my
can't
God.
even hear the word spreadsheet anymore without cringing. We had stacks of files. We had photos printed in filing cabinets. We didn't know what we were doing.
Nope.
It was a disaster of organization, and it all would have been fixed with some property management software.
Number two is screening your tenants.
You can't just sign a lease with the first person that wants to give you money?
No.
Well, we didn't know that then.
You need to take the time. It's better to actually take your time to find a good tenant than it is to actually try to get rid of a bad tenant.
Yeah, one of our biggest fears at that time and our rationalization for this stuff was, if we wait another month in billing cycle, we're gonna lose that rent for that month, that $1,000 rent check. Instead, we put in a bad tenant and we lose what?
Oh, thousands and thousands of dollars.
And maybe good tenants
Short-sighted.
that are their neighbors. The cost is exponential. Take your time, lose a month worth of rent if you have to make sure you're putting in somebody that's a good tenant that's gonna be respectful.
This is really important, and it's one of the things that we do now all the time. We'd much rather wait 1-2 billing cycles to find that perfect tenant that will stay there for years
Absolutely.
and respect your property and make sure they pay on time and all these other great things that good tenants do.
Absolutely, and when you find that you have a bad tenant, move on from them quickly.
Exactly, because bad tenants take up 90% of your time, but only account for about 10% of your income.
I mean, that's a good point. And they're, like I said, they're going to drive away the good tenants too, which will cost you exponentially in another area. So again, please take our advice so you can avoid the struggles and the hassle that we put ourselves through by not knowing better.
Durability and scalability of your renovations.
Wow, we learned that one the hard way too. When we're talking about durability and scalability, let's talk about scalability for a second. Don't go thinking you can paint all your different apartments just different colors because you went and bought cheap paint, clearance items, paint. Think about it later. All of your apartments should be painted the same color.
Ideally, exactly. So this way, when you go to patch that wall on the turnover or even just during actual tenancy, you'll have the same color. It's consistent. It allows you can have a quick gallon paint with you at any time. Your maintenance staff or whatever it might be has that ability.
Could you imagine having to repaint an entire living room because you had to patch a small hole on one of the walls and you couldn't find the same color blue clearance paint you found 2 years ago?
And no matter what, you try to color match it, it never freaking works out.
No. So now you're painting an entire wall or an entire room when you could just be painting a couple of foot area.
Exactly, and savability. So what about durability?
Durability is kind of a big thing too. The amount of people, when we first started taking over some of our apartments and doing renovations, we would pull up a carpet. Remember that? We'd pull up a rug. What was underneath that rug, Matt?
Beautiful hardwood flooring.
Sometimes underneath 4 more layers of carpet though. So
and maybe 4 layers of paint.
And then, some paint. So people would rather cover hardwood floors, things that are much more durable like hardwood floors or tile with layers of rug. Carpet's not gonna not gonna hold up through much of a tenant.
Well, no, it breeds bacteria. It's constant changing. Whenever tenancies go over, you have to change the pad, change the carpet. It just costs money all the time.
Now, people are gonna argue with me here. Now, I'm gonna say C and D class properties, forget about getting a carpet to be reusable for your next tenancy. Maybe in your A and B class stuff, you know, with expensive carpeting and really, really high quality tenants, you
But
can
still, you're gonna have to eventually turn it over. With the hardwood floor, you can do a screening real quick between tenancies. Nice coat of poly. The thing looks brand spanking new, and it lasts long.
Yeah, think about it again with carpeting, with other stuff. You know, some kid spills a juice box, ruins the carpet. With a nice hardwood floor, you wipe that stuff right up and you're on your way.
Exactly. So these are the 3 things that we highly recommend you look into doing when you're getting into your first rental, because these were mistakes that we didn't do and that you can learn from those.
Well, best of luck, folks. Stick around our channel. I hope you find a couple of other interesting videos like this one right here and watch that too.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.